Black Star Network is here.
Hold no punches!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig? Tuesday, May 16, 2023, coming up on Roland Unfiltered, streaming live on the Black Star Network. We have talked about the wall of silence. ProPublica has broken down this story out with the NYPD, and not only does it show how these cops lie, it shows what happens when they will pull a black cop aside and say, yo, what you doing? And then he will go back into a hearing and lie about the truth. It is an unbelievable story. Wait until we talk to it with the reporter who broke this thing down. Also on the show, Fox News continues to be pissed off and upset because President Joe Biden talked about white supremacy in his speech to Howard University. We're going to show you when a Fox News anchor literally called Howard University graduates dumb because of his speech. And then I got a few words to say to her, to Greg Gutfeld, and I even have to correct the Breakfast Club for their reporting on President Joe Biden's speech. Nikki Fried leads the Democratic Party in Florida. She's going to be joining us right here in the studio talking about the continued assault on diversity, equity, inclusion by the dictator Ron DeSantis there in the state of Florida. So we got that and a lot more to unpack on today's show, folks. Plus, our marketplace segment, we'll be talking to the co-founder of a snack company that's gluten-free. So lots of stuff to cover. It's time to bring the funk on Roland Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the biz, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, roll, y'all. It's Roland Martin, Rolling with Roland now. He's funky, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now.
All right, 2019, Kawaski Trawick was shot by two New York Police Department officers. First of all, it was a shooting involving two officers. One of the cops, a white cop, shot him. Now, here's what's so crazy. Y'all, there's audio and there's video of the black cop, okay, telling Herbert Davis, telling Brendan Thompson not to shoot, not to do any of this. Now, here's what's so crazy. They're interviewing this dude after the fact, and he's like, yo, he was wrong. He was wrong. He was wrong. He said it all out. Then they go into a hearing, an internal hearing, and he gets on the stand and says, he was wrong. Should have shot. Shouldn't have shot. They pull the brother into the bathroom. He comes out. Yeah, I didn't tell the truth. My recollection is totally different. It is an unbelievable story of how the NYPD, how cops will lie, will cover up to protect one of their own. So today, I was on social media and I saw this long Twitter feed that came from the editor-at-large of ProPublica, Eric Umansky. And I see that we got to get him on the show. And so he joins us right now. Eric, glad to have you here. So, folks, let's just do this here. So we're going to play some video first so y'all can understand exactly what's going on, what happened. So let's play the first piece of video. And again, what you're going to hear and see, you're going to actually see the cop telling this dude what not to do, yet he was still ignored. He's the senior officer, and it is just this long list of lies upon lies upon lies, and it shows with the actual audio and video how cops, top to bottom, bottom to top, protect each other and don't give a damn about the citizens. Play the first one.
Okay, at what point did you take your taser out?
When he was at the kitchen and he kept saying, get out of my house, I'm cooking my food, you see. I said, can you please put the knife down, put the knife down. He wouldn't put it down, he took a step forward. I pulled it out, activated it, and my partner activated his, and we were aiming it to get to, to hit him with it.
Okay. Any conversation between you and your partner at this point?
No, I don't think we were talking about anything. We were talking about just mainly, we were focusing on him. We didn't want to really talk about anything. We were focusing on him. Yep.
Okay, folks, it's a whole totally crazy story. Eric, the thing, reading the Twitter feed, reading the story, is just unbelievable how these cops, on video, on audio, and you got them busted, they don't care. They will protect their own, and higher-ups will force cops to change their testimony because they refuse to hold even one officer who was absolutely wrong.
Yeah, so it's a really, really troubling case. I first reported on it a few years ago. What had happened was this young man, Kawaski Trawick, who lived in the Bronx, had called 911 himself because he had locked himself out of his apartment. And he lived in a supportive housing facility, and the super in the building basically decided to teach tenants a lesson and wouldn't let them back into their apartments if they locked themselves out. And so he called 911, and actually firefighters came, and Jimmy'd opened his door, and he was inside back in his apartment. And then the cops came after he was back in his apartment, alone in his apartment. And they sort of pushed the door in a little bit. And he says, "Why are you in my home? I'm already back in." And he's holding a long bread knife and a stick. And at that point, the cops say, put down the knife. And as you say, there's two cops. There's a senior officer, Herbert Davis, who's black and who speaks more calmly, says, "Will you put down the knife, please?" And then there's a younger, more junior white cop, Brendan Thompson, who's not speaking so calmly. And what happens is 112 seconds after the cops get there, Brendan Thompson first uses his taser on Trawick and then shoots him despite Davis repeatedly telling him, literally saying once, "No, we ain't going to tase him," and then trying to push Thompson's gun down, pushing his gun down and saying, "No, no, no, don't." And Thompson shoots anyway and kills Trawick.
Okay, so Trawick gets killed. And again, as you said, here you have a senior officer directing this guy what to do, what not to do, and he doesn't care. He literally, he just like, "I don't give a damn about you. I'm going to do whatever I want to do." And he is disobeying the orders, again, of the more experienced cop. In fact, there was video. There was video you had posted, which is on the YouTube feed. And I saw it, and I was just sitting here going, "Okay, I can't believe it, what we just witnessed." And so, folks, just roll this because, again, folks, this is crazy.
Man, let me tell you, it is beautiful, beautiful, beautiful outside. So
it's a total of a 6-minute video that's on there, folks. Let me see if I can reset this here. I want to reset it because, again, I'm watching this and I'm sitting here going, "Are you serious? Did this actually happen?" And when we talk about these things all the time, on this show, we often are showing these videos. We often are playing these videos. Let's see. Do we have it here? Let's see. Hopefully, I can now get it because it is just unbelievable to watch what unfolds here. And when you started reporting on it, okay, go ahead. Yeah. Let's play it there. When you started reporting on this, when you start seeing the truth and seeing what came out, were you even going, "They really thought we were never going to find out"?
I got to tell you, I was amazed when, you got to keep in mind that, I know the video is playing in the background, the NYPD fought against this footage coming out for a year and a half. They refused to make it public. They even refused to share it with civilian oversight investigators who couldn't even start their investigation because the NYPD refused to share any records. And then what happened is some public interest lawyers sued and won in court and got the footage disclosed. And, it showed really, really troubling stuff. But even that, it's frankly kind of hard to follow. And I actually think it's kind of quite likely a bunch of this doesn't come out. And keep in mind, and I know we're going to get to it, but it's so amazing to me that you want to stop and
yeah. So here's what I'm about to do. So I'm about to play this right now, and I want people to actually see and hear what happened. Hit play.
The building's on fire.
Why is my door?
Drop the knife.
Yeah,
Drop the knife. Drop the knife.
Yeah.
Drop the knife.
Put the knife down. Put the knife down, please.
Hold it.
Sir?
The center of the right.
So here we have a 16-year police officer, black guy, 3-year police officer, white guy. Black guy is being very calm, trying to de-escalate, if you will. You got the 3-year cop. He's got his gun out and his taser out. First of all, why did Davis have a body camera, or did he simply have one but not have it on?
He had forgotten it on his lunch break. That's actually the truth, you know. But like in his defense, I mean, that can happen.
Well, look, here's the deal. That shouldn't happen because I don't think a cop will forget their badge and gun. And this is one of those, because again, this is one of those things that if we don't have the body camera footage, we don't actually see or hear any of this because you really can't see it from the hallway camera. So you see him and you hear him literally saying, put the taser down. We're not going to tase this guy. And then he pulls his gun out for this other, and here's what's so crazy to me. You look at the video, Thompson is literally in front, Davis is in front of Thompson. So if anybody's in the most danger, it's Davis, but Thompson still doesn't give a damn. He is literally ignoring the senior officer on the scene.
That's right. That's absolutely right. That's 100% right. Yeah.
Hold on one second. I'm going to go to a break. We're going to come back and pick up more on this because if y'all thought that was crazy, wait till I guess tells you what happened when they actually had the hearing. Unbelievable. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol, we've seen
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, Dave.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All the momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
Black TV does matter, dang it.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's your boy, Jacob Lattimore, and you're now watching Roland Martin right now.
All right, welcome back. Eric Yamansky with ProPublica, editor at large. We're talking about this unbelievable case, y'all, out of New York. It was a shooting 4 years ago. So Eric, all right, so Trawick gets shot. He's killed. 4 fired shot, 2 hit him in the chest. Now it's time for the investigation.
Yeah,
share with folks
that's what you call it.
How shameful this investigation was.
Yeah, so about 1.5 years after Trawick was killed, actually almost 2 years afterward, the NYPD actually gave us, after we kept questioning them about it, a statement saying, well, the investigation is complete and we found no wrongdoing at all. And I was like, well, how does that work? And the answer to that is, we're not telling you. They wouldn't say anything about it. And then with my colleague Mike Hayes, got some really amazing documents and audio about what actually the investigation consisted of. So we got this audio interviews of Davis and Thompson being interviewed by NYPD investigators. And it's really remarkable. And the reason it's so remarkable is because what the investigators don't ask them about. They don't ask them about the fact that Davis had tried to stop his partner from tasering and then shooting Trawick, even though it's on footage. And, we could see it and we could hear it. They literally never asked them about it. They interviewed each of them for a half an hour once. They interviewed Thompson about it. They waited 7 months and gave him the footage to review first before they interviewed him. Hold on.
So they interviewed Thompson 7 months after the shooting, and before they interviewed him, they said, hey, he watched the footage first and then tell us what happened?
That's right. You got it. That's correct. Yep.
Okay. So then, then this thing goes to some internal NYPD, sort of like the tribunal, that's not public, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the NYPD says basically okily dokily, no problem at all, clears the officers. But in New York City,
right?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. In New York City, there's this thing called a Civilian Complaint Review Board, which is exactly what it sounds like. If civilians have complaints, you can lodge it, and has the ability to independently investigate, but then it can't punish officers itself. It's a rule that what it has to do if it wants to give serious punishment against officers is it goes to exactly what you were just saying, an internal NYPD tribunal that sort of looks like court and sort of smells like court, but definitely isn't court.
So they have this hearing, and Davis testifies. What does Davis say first?
So it's pretty amazing, and I wish we had a recording of this, but the NYPD doesn't allow recordings at its tribunals. So what happened was Davis is being interviewed by the Civilian Investigation Board lawyer, and the Civilian Investigation Board lawyer says, "So you tried to stop your partner from tasering Trawick?" And Davis says, "Yep." And he says, "And you tried to stop him from shooting Trawick?" And he says, "Yep." And he says, "So you think your partner made a mistake and that it didn't need to happen?" And he says, "Yes, that is correct. This could have all gone down differently." And then,
so Davis,
damn surprising.
Davis goes, "Hey, no blue wall aside. This should not have happened. He should. I did this. This should not have happened." Then all of a sudden, potty break.
Bathroom break. Potty break. So the lawyers for Thompson's, the lawyer for Thompson says, "Your Honor, we have a 5-minute bathroom break," which it had been a while since we had a bathroom break, I will say. And so everybody goes to the bathroom or whatever. Everybody goes out for a few minutes. And about 10 minutes later, we go back in. And I will say, I will tell you, and this is real reporting, I followed Davis into the bathroom. I did not see him chatting with anybody, but I wasn't there the whole time, and he might have been talking to other people. And about 10 minutes later, the trial restarts, and Davis gets up there, and now he's being questioned by his partner's lawyer, and says, I actually think the shooting was justified.
Okay, wait. So first of all, this hearing, this internal, whatever we're going to call it, took place when?
Took place, that was on Friday.
Okay, so Friday. So here we have a shooting that took place in 2019. On video, on audio, you have Davis saying, "Put the taser down, put the gun down. I'm not going to taser this guy. You see his reaction after the shots are fired. In the interview, Davis is saying, hey, he should not have shot him. Here he goes in front of this hearing, and he says, flat out, shouldn't have shot him, shouldn't have went down. Bathroom break, comes back. Yeah, I was wrong. 4 years. He has been consistent.
4 years.
Now, all of a sudden, after a bathroom break with Thompson's lawyers, he changes his mind.
Yeah, so that was a moment, right? And so actually, the civilian investigator lawyer gets up and says, wait a second, I want to understand this. You're now saying that you think your partner's shooting was justified? What made you change your mind over a 10-minute bathroom break? And literally, Davis's answer was, yeah, well, I had a chance to think about it. There's a line stuck in my head. I had a chance to think about it. And the lawyer says, let me ask you something.
Right, go ahead. Go ahead.
Look, the shooting was 4 years ago. You never had a chance to think about it over 4 years? And Davis says, nope, I have not.
Okay, so what happened next? Was there a ruling?
No. So then first of all, what happened was Thompson gets up there and says he doesn't recall anything. He doesn't recall his partner objecting. They said, well, it's in the video. He said, if you say it's in the video, it's in the video. I don't recall that. And on and on. There's nothing that he recalls, right? So there's Officer Thompson. And what happens next is the judge, and this is a person who actually works for the NYPD commissioner, will issue a ruling, which is actually a recommendation which goes to the NYPD commissioner, who can decide whatever they want, whenever they want it. And that is the system.
You mean to tell me 4 years after a shooting, 4 years after we have hallway camera, body camera, audio interview, NYPD clears them, civilian board, or whatever you want to call it, has this hearing, which is basically completely governed by the NYPD, so it ain't civilian. You can't record it, audio or video. Davis, 16-year black cop, flips his story. Oh, now I have to think about it. And these guys are still being paid. They've been on the force. Have both of them been on desk duty, or have they still been on the street?
No, they are both still on the street, including Officer Thompson, who, by the way, has had complaints against him for undue use of force since shooting Trawick.
Have we heard anything from Mayor Eric Adams? Anything from the commissioner? Have we heard anything? All of these people who keep talking about, what's right and just. Has anybody said, hey, this is bullshit?
So you've had city council, the speaker of New York's city council has spoken up about it. Jemima Williams has spoken up about it, but has the mayor of New York City, Eric Adams? Not that I'm aware of.
Wow. Ain't that quite interesting? Eric, keep us abreast of what happens. As you said, there's no timetable when the decision is going to be made.
That's right. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
All righty.
Yeah.
All right. We appreciate great reporting here, Eric. Thanks a lot.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Got to go to a break. We come back. I'm going to talk about this with my panel. Unbelievably crazy. Folks, if you're on YouTube, hit the like button, please. See y'all commenting. Hit the like button, please. Say a thing if you're watching the OTT app. Don't forget, download the Black Star Network app, Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Xbox One, Samsung Smart TV. Support our Bring the Funk fan club. Your dollars make it possible for us to do this show every single day. Check the money order. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037, that's 0196. Cash App, $RM Unfiltered. PayPal, R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You also have my book. Be sure to get my book, White Fear: How the Browning of America is making white folks lose their minds. Of course, you can get the book at bookstores nationwide. Of course, Ben Bella Books, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, IndieBound, Bookshop, Chapters, Books A Million, Target. You can also, of course, download your copy on Audible. The panel is standing by. I see you, Mustafa. I see you, Toron. Stand up, Randy. I see you. Come on, give me a shot of them, y'all. All right, give me a 3-shot. There we go. Panel is there. They ready to roll. I know they got lots to say about what the hell we just heard. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
That was a pivotal time. I remember Kevin Hart telling me that. He's like, man, what you doing, man? You got to stay on stage. And I was like, yeah, well, you know, I'm young, thinking, like, I'm good. And he was absolutely right.
What show was the other time?
This was one-on-one.
Got it.
During that time.
So you're doing one-on-one, going great.
Yeah.
You making money. You like.
I'm like, I don't need to leave. I don't need to leave from Wednesday, Thursday to Sunday. I didn't want to do that. It was just like, I'm gonna stay here. Or I didn't want to finish work Friday, fly out, go do a gig Saturday, Sunday. I was like, I don't have to do that. And I lost a little bit of that hunger that I had in New York. I would hit all the clubs, run around. Sometimes me and Chappelle or me and this one or that one, we go to the Comedy Cellar at 1 in the morning. And that was our life. We loved it. You do 2 shows in Manhattan, go to Brooklyn, leave Brooklyn, go to Queens, go to Jersey. And I got complacent. I was like, I got this money, I'm good. I don't need to go chase that, because that money wasn't at the same level that I was making, but what I was missing was that training.
Yes.
Was that.
And it wasn't the money.
It was the money. It was that's what I needed.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
Hi, I'm Anthony Brown from Anthony Brown and Group Therapy.
Hi, I'm BB Winans.
Hey, I'm Donnie Simpson.
What's up? I'm Lance Gross, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
folks, time to introduce our panel. Dr. Mustafa Santiago Ali, former senior advisor for the EPA, environmental specialist. We have, of course, Randy Bryant, the disruptor, the DEI disruptor. She and Mustafa from D.C., Toran Walker, founder of Context Media out of Atlanta. Mustafa, what we just heard was absolutely insane, and it goes to show you what happens when these cops, they will do whatever to protect themselves. And here's the deal: black cop covered for a white cop at blue wall is what's most important. It's about blue. It ain't black, it ain't white.
Yeah, and it's just another example of why folks have such a difficult time in being able to trust police officers. You know, we expect that there are always going to be a percentage of cops who are going to be bad cops. You know, they're going to be the ones causing the police brutality. You know, unfortunately, the ones who are also taking our lives. But we also have expectations that, you know, that the cops are going to stand up. The people who want to be labeled as good cops, the ones who want to be trusted. And it gets even worse because this is actually built into the system. Lying is built into the law enforcement or policing system, if you really understand what's going on. You know, police officers lie during investigations when they're out there trying to gather facts and trying to move people in one direction. When you take folks into the interrogation room, we know that there's lying that happens there. We saw in the Breonna Taylor case that there was lying also that happened in relationship to the arrest warrants. So, you know, we continue to see this time and time and time again. And what it comes down to is that they are protected. And that's where that blue wall of silence comes in place. And if you happen to speak out against that, then there are ramifications. If you are a police officer, or often if you are also in other occupations, if you call out that part of the injustice, then you are blackballed. You are also seen as someone who doesn't support making sure that communities are safe. And it's all a false narrative.
These people do not care, Randy. They don't care. And then you have a system that literally is rigged for the cops to get away with it. The internal investigation, then the so-called civilian investigation that the NYPD runs. How the hell do you have an investigation and then a second investigation, and they run both?
Right. The police are policing themselves. The police are policing themselves. So, of course, there's going to be no accountability or change. We have to get outsiders involved in this. You know, it was interesting to me when I watched that tape and the seasoned officer was directing the young white officer not to tase and not to shoot, and how that officer disregarded the black officer. And I really would suggest that it was because he was black, that he really did not have a value for black people altogether. He almost seemed anxious to injure this black man in some way when he had his taser and his gun out at the same time. He wanted to injure this man. And that's what was scary about it. But then after all of that, the black man, who the black police officer, who to me was disregarded by the white police officer, went on to defend him, to provide a defense for him and completely change his story. It's just sad. I mean, it just shows how thick that wall is and how quickly you can change someone. I was reading an article recently that said that most officers acknowledge that there is this blue wall, but 52% think it's not a problem. They don't even see it as an issue that they lie and cover up all of their misconduct.
And here's the thing, Toran, where are all the Blue Lives Matter people? Where all the people talk about what's right and what's fair and what's just? It's amazing how they're all quiet and they are defenders of the system that allows cops to lie with impunity.
Well, you know, the whole idea of Blue Lives Matter kind of died on January 6th, where you had people storming the Capitol and beating police officers and killing one of them, and they tried to make excuses for that. That whole idea about a blue wall and the idea of Blue Lives Matter only is convenient when it's not going against their white supremacy, bottom line. And to the other sister's point who just spoke, it's fascinating that in any other sort of hierarchy, whether it's the military or even in corporate America or anything where you have an experienced leader or an experienced veteran and a rookie, so to speak, the deferment is always going to go to the more experienced person, and it did not happen in this case. If you have a partner and you're a law enforcement officer, you listen to what your partner who has more experience says. And if you completely disregard what he says, what does that say about your ability to follow commands and follow orders? And what does that say about your ability to listen to a black man with more experience? And it's sad that this particular officer who has more experience and is black completely caved on this man's human rights and his civil rights when he was put on the spot about what really happened, and he defended his partner when his partner had no respect for him. It's horrible. It's a deeper code than what the mafia has and what gangs have, where you have a code of silence that says you back up your person right or wrong at the expense of somebody else's life, and that's evil.
That's exactly what that is. So we'll see what this ruling is. All right, y'all, got to go to break. We come back. Fox News, boy, they are mad as hell at President Biden for discussing white supremacy in his speech to Howard University. I got a few things to say to one Fox News host who literally called the 2023 4,000 student graduates of Howard University, called them dumb because she didn't like Biden's speech. And then Greg Gutfeld, he says white supremacy, it's not a thing in this country. Really? Time for another deconstruction. That's next. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
I'm Faraji Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture, weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
Next, right here on The Frequency, the woman they call the Gifted Eye, hip-hop celebrity photographer Koi Soldier. She's the master storyteller that captured the history of hip-hop through the lens of her camera.
Tupac comes out, the next thing you know, you didn't know who they were at first. You just seen all these dudes just come rushing the stage. Then you realize Biggie gets a bottle of champagne, he pops it open, sprays it on the crowd, he drinks the bottle.
Koi Soldier, the hip-hop celebrity photographer, joining me right here on the next episode of The Frequency on the Black Star Network.
On a next, A Balanced Life with me, Dr. Jackie. What does it mean to actually have balance in your life? Why is it important and how do you get there? A masterclass on the art of balance. It could change your life.
Find the harmony of your life. And so what beat can you maintain at a good pace? What cadence can keep you running that marathon? Because we know we're going to have, high levels, we're going to have low levels, but where can you find that flow, that harmonious pace?
That's all next on A Balanced Life on Black Star Network.
Hey, I'm Antonique Smith.
What up, Lana Well, and you are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
All right, folks, yesterday you saw how I had to sit here and just destroy Harris Faulkner and the rest of those fools and outnumbered who straight up lied about President Joe Biden's speech to Howard University at the commencement on Saturday. And it seems that after his speech, it really has pissed off the entire Fox ecosystem, which means that they sent out the talking points, attack Biden on him attacking white supremacy. That's typically what happens when you see all the Fox shows repeating the same talking points. So Fox and Friends the day after, you have Rachel Campos Duffy, Peter Hegseth, and Will Cain. They were talking about his speech, and listen to the sheer hatred and stupidity that comes out of these fools' mouths.
Joe Biden, President of the United States, gave a commencement address yesterday at Howard University. Didn't talk about
yawn, crack your neck, do what you gotta do. Do your meditations, your daily affirmations, your prayer. What's happening? Another week is upon us.
Come back to me, come on. All right, first of all, guys, you playing Breakfast Club audio. So here's the deal. Let's go to the Fox video, okay? Let's play the Fox video.
Diversity. He didn't talk about the border. He didn't talk about the threat of the Chinese Communist Party. He didn't even talk about the threat of Islamic terrorism. Instead, he said the biggest threat to our country is, in fact, the threat of white supremacy.
That's right. He said.
Stop right there, okay? So Will Kane, who I repeatedly destroyed when I was at CNN, he's decided, oh, Biden didn't talk about this or this or this. Oh, he's like, oh, the biggest threat is white supremacy. All right? So, okay. I want y'all to remember that particular point because I'm going to play a law enforcement expert who literally called that the greatest threat. So just we're going to get to that in a second, but just play more of the Fox News stupidity of Will Kane, Rachel, and Peter Hegseth.
That, meanwhile, a record number of actual terrorists, as you talked about, Will, suspects have been coming across our border. Take a look at this list here. So we have in October through March, in 2022 alone, 98 people. Look at the increase.
Look at the one in the bottom right. That's 4 years combined. 8 total on the terror watch list encountered. These are the encounters, by the way, not the gotaways.
Exactly.
So far, 168. It's just listening to that speech, so divisive, so cynical. It plays into the conversation they want to be having about MAGA Republicans and threats to democracy. It's not grounded in actual threats, or at least ones that I just look at it and I go, this is where we're at. And it's so demoralizing.
Stop.
It's not true.
Now, I want you to understand, this conversation was actually held on the 1-year anniversary of the shooting in Buffalo where 10 black people were gunned down by a white supremacist, by a racist. No mention of that. And then you see look at that bottom right number. Look at the number. There were more white domestic terrorists on January 6, 2021 than they claim that's crossing the border. Oh, and then you heard him. Well, they would have blamed MAGA. Yeah. And then on the exact same day that they were complaining about Biden's speech, you had hundreds of racist patriot folks, the patriot right, marching in Washington, D.C. Literally, they were marching in Washington, D.C. Oh, I guess Fox News didn't get the memo or the email about that racist march. Okay, more of the stupidity.
Believe it to be true.
Yeah.
That's right.
If he believed it to be true, we'd be talking about a level of incompetency that would be unmatched in the Oval Office, in the White House. If it were to be true, we'd be looking at a president that is totally ignorant of the threat of the Chinese Communist Party, Islamic terrorism, terrorists coming through the southern border. We would be looking at a president so frivolous and ignorant that it would represent in and of itself a national security threat.
Yeah.
The sheer ignorance, the incompetence, the stupidity is you, Will Kane. It's you, Rachel Campos Duffy. It's you, Peter Hegseth. When the three of you combined don't even have the IQ to match Joe Biden. You three are sheer idiots. But we haven't gotten to the good stuff just yet. Press play.
But it's not true. And he doesn't believe it's true. It's a pander. And it is a naked and shameless and an embarrassing pander that he has to.
All right. Will Kane just said it's not true. I want y'all to put a pin in that video right there. And I want y'all to right now play. Here's the video of the director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, Christopher Wray, speaking about white domestic terrorism and the threat to the homeland.
We're also keeping our eye on domestic terrorism from people who've come up with their own
customize belief systems and hope to advance them through violence. We have, through the third quarter of this fiscal year, had about, give or take, 100 arrests in the international terrorism side, which includes the homegrown violent extremism.
This year.
This year. But we've also had just about the same number, again, don't quote me to the exact digit, on the domestic terrorism side. And I will say that a majority of the domestic terrorism cases that we've investigated are motivated by some version of what you might call white supremacist violence, but it includes other things as well. A huge chunk of those domestic terrorism investigations involve racially motivated, violent extremist motivated terrorist attacks. And the majority of those, of the racially motivated, violent extremist attacks, are fueled by some kind of white supremacy. And I would say that the most lethal activity over the last few years has been committed by those type of attackers. It used to be that some angry, demented guy living in mom's basement, not that there's anything wrong with that, in one part of the country is now able to communicate with a similarly angry guy in grandma's attic in another part of the country, and they get each other spun up now. And how to separate who's being aspirational versus who's being intentional. It won't shock you to learn, and hopefully not other members of the committee, that the amount of angry, hateful, unspeakable, combative, violent even rhetoric on social media exceeds what anybody in their worst imagination is out there. Terrorism moves at the speed of social media, and you have the ability of lone actors disgruntled in one part of the country to spin up similar like-minded individuals in other parts of the country and urge them into action.
Here we have the head of the FBI laying out the sheer threat of white domestic terrorism. Go to my iPad. This here's the New York Times. Top law enforcement officials say the biggest domestic terror threat comes from white supremacists. Who says that? The Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security. It's his job to actually know these very threats. Last year, a former head of the Department of Homeland Security's intelligence branch filed a whistleblower complaint in which he accused the department of blocking a report about the threat of violent extremism and described white supremacists as having been exceptionally lethal in the abhorrent target attacks in recent years. Who was the president the previous year? The president the previous year was Donald Trump. The same Donald Trump who welcomed those white supremacists on January 6th. But on Fox News, oh no, Biden's the problem. They say Biden's lying, Biden's incompetent. The same Biden who spoke about the threat of white supremacy in his State of the Union address this year, in his address to Congress, the joint session when he first got there. This ain't new. Ain't the first time he said it. But you gotta understand, the white nationalist audience, they watch Fox News. That's why Fox is so angry at Biden because of this. Now, let's go back, because I have not played yet the best of the sheer stupidity of what we heard on Fox News. Press play.
He has to put a punctuation mark of, and I'm not just saying that because I'm sitting here at HBCU. Yes, you are. And you know what we could do? We could roll the tape of Joe Biden throughout his career as a politician and all of the racist statements that he has made. Look, not subject.
Again, Will Cain said he's only saying it because he said it at HBCU. Will Cain, you are an absolute liar. I exposed Harris Faulkner and her lies yesterday. He said it in the State of the Union. He said it in his first joint session of Congress. He said it in a summit at the White House. He said it in 2019 when he was running against Trump. And when he was speaking in Iowa, 86.6% white in that particular town. You were lying. But you weren't bright when you were at CNN, which is why I was easily debating you. And so you absolutely are with the cast of dummies now at Fox News, people who clearly don't know how to use Google. Press play.
Objectively racist statements he has made throughout his career and say, this is your knight in shining armor? This is your man to take down white supremacy? He's pandering, and if it can't be seen, you're blind.
Well, it's also it's a political strategy, and we had on this guy named Gene from America First Legal, who uncovered that our federal law enforcement is actually going after these supposed white supremacists, and they had these ridiculous, comical profiles of pro-life moms and conservative dads, in rural America. And meanwhile, we have this list of 168 terrorists coming across our border in just the last few months. So, that's crazy. But it's so, I'm going to just say it, I think it's evil. It's evil to take a country as good as ours, a country that really, if you look at people's everyday interactions with people of other races and cultures here in America, they're by and large, 99.9% peaceful, loving. People want to live in America the way Martin Luther King had it, where we don't see color, we look at people's character. That's who we are, and yet for political gain, because he has failed so much as a president and taken our country so down, he understands the only way he could win is to convince some pretty dumb college kids at that university if they believe him.
Well, what a disservice.
It's a disservice. If they believe that this country is full of white supremacists and that's our number one threat. But look, you saw in 2020, Pete, during those riots, a lot of people can be convinced that this is a racist country.
That's being taught at that university and at universities across America. So that statement is not surprising to the ears of those kids or to the ears of most college kids across America. They've been programmed to believe that is true, most of which have never left the country, never seen real. You want to see real racism? Travel the world. Yes. Travel the world outside of our borders. We have our sins of our past and things we've had to get through in this country. There's no doubt. But man, when you look at the way Americans live together in everyday life, ignoring the issue of race, it's a special thing, and they're trying to ruin that. Cynical.
No question about it.
You got 3 ignorant, incompetent white people at Fox News actually trying to tell black people, especially 4,000 black students at Howard University, that she called Howard graduates dumb. Let me explain something to you, dumbass Rachel Campos Duffy. My niece graduated summa cum laude from Howard with a degree in architecture and is getting her master's next year. I was there. You, Rachel, can kiss my ass. Will Kane, you can kiss my ass. And you know better, Will. And Peter Hegseth. And then, Peter, you go, then you question whether these black students have passports, whether they travel the world. You 3 dumbasses haven't even traveled Black America. I dare you, Peter Hegseth and Rachel Campos Duffy and Will Kane, I dare you to visit Howard University. They don't know racism when those students were subjected to bomb threats. Today, Jackson State University was closed down because of a bomb threat. Numerous HBCUs across America endured bomb threats, and you 3 assholes have the audacity to say they know nothing about racism? What I need y'all to understand is that what you are witnessing is why I wrote this. They are angry that Joe Biden is calling out their audience. They're angry that the #1 white nationalist in America, Tucker Carlson, is no longer employed there. White nationalism is literally the business plan of Fox News. And that's why they're upset, because Biden keeps calling it out. For you to dare say that these black students are dumb when Rachel composed Duffy? How did you get your job? Because your ass was on Big Brother. You don't know a damn thing. You have no real experience. And Will Kane, now you and I both know you a lightweight. Now, Will, we debated at CNN numerous times. Yeah, you from Texas. You went to the University of Texas. But Will, you are a lightweight, which is why Bomani destroyed you at ESPN, which is why Stephen A. Smith destroyed you at ESPN. But among the faithful at Fox News, you a bright, shining light. Because we all know all of them ain't bright bulbs in a dark-ass room. The reason I play all of that for y'all, because I need you to understand the sheer hatred that is going on in this country, and for you to understand what is at play and what their strategy is. And their strategy is they need to gin up their white base for next year's election. If you think I'm lying, remember, I destroyed Harris Faulkner, her outnumbered crew yesterday. They went on at noon yesterday. While we were on the air, Greg Gutfield had his own comments about Fox News. We're going to play those after the break. Then I'm going to go to my panel. And then we're going to talk with Nikki Fried, who leads the Florida Democratic Party, because you got Ron DeSantis, who is the head cheerleader of the white nationalists, and what he's doing, attacking diversity, equity, inclusion, and doesn't want the race being discussed in Florida. I need y'all to understand, I call this. I've been talking about white fear since 2009, and what you're seeing play out, you're seeing the white nationalist network, fake Fox News, get upset because Biden is there calling it out. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol, we've seen shooting.
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
On a next, A Balanced Life with me, Dr. Jackie. What does it mean to actually have balance in your life? Why is it important and how do you get there? A masterclass on the art of balance. It could change your life.
Find the harmony of your life. And so what beat can you maintain at a good pace? What cadence can keep you running that marathon? Because we know we're going to have, high levels, we're going to have low levels, but where can you find that flow, that harmonious pace?
That's all next on A Balanced Life on Black Star Network.
What's up? I'm Dr. Ricky Dillard, the choir master.
Hi, I'm Amber Stevens-West from The Carmichael Show.
Hi, my name is LaToya Luckett, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
So one of the most incompetent people who has no business being on any news show on any network is Greg Gutfeld. He decided to get involved, get his take on what's happening. Because, you know, I'm telling y'all, Fox News distributed their talking points across the network, and the gutless wonder himself, Greg Gutfeld, this is what he had to say about Biden's speech and white supremacy.
I just think it's time that white people stop lying to black people. Right? Why do we lie to them? Why do we tell them, hey, when you get out into the real world, this is what you're going to face? That's a lie. It's an outright lie. White supremacy is not a threat to them. If you look at the ADL, who are very biased towards labeling everything a racist act, they found 25 murders, I guess, in 2022 attributed to extremism out of 26,000 homicides. 25 murders, two mass shootings. So it's rare, it's ugly, it's rare, but it sure as hell ain't the #1 threat. That is the most obvious lie you could come up with. So he is lying. You have to ask, why do you lie to black people? Why do you lie to black people? Why do liberals feel that they have to do that? Because they need to keep blacks angry. They need to keep blacks close to them, right? This does not serve black people. If it doesn't serve black people, it doesn't serve white people either, because it creates conflict. The people who need to cleave blacks from whites do so because they realize there is profit in discontent. They're rent-seeking. As long as there's a problem, whether it's racism or whether it's homelessness. $1 billion went to homelessness. We don't know where it went, because you need a persistent crisis in order to keep your job. Consultants and corporations, right? Activists. You got to keep this lie going. And once blacks walk away from this lie, oh, they're going to be happy, but they're going to be pissed. And I'm so going to be there for that.
Greg, how many black people do you actually know? Seriously, Greg Gutfeld, you ever been to Essence Festival? You ever been to the Cincinnati Music Festival? Congressional Black Caucus Foundation? Hell, Greg, has your pale ass ever been to an HBCU game? Ever? And then I love this here. It's the liberals and they're getting black people fired up. Dude, your white savior, Donald Trump, literally that was his campaign. He stoked white fear the moment he came down the escalator. That was what he did. The numbers don't lie. The dramatic increase in racial attacks, the dramatic increase in the sort of racial violence, rhetoric on the social media. Donald Trump. And again, why were those white domestic terrorists outside the Capitol on January 6th? Because Donald Trump was angry about black people voting in Atlanta, Philadelphia, Milwaukee, and Detroit. He kept naming them. Oh, I'm sorry. He named them again in the CNN town hall, which was a joke. So I need people watching, I need you to understand the reason they are attacking Biden, and now this, black people are going to be pissed. Actually, that's why we don't watch you, Fox News. Because your business plan, which Roger Ailes created, was to attack black people. Shall we roll the tape when Bill O'Reilly attacked Snoop and Ludacris and all the other folks, how he consistently attacked civil rights folks, and Tucker, and Hannity, and Laura? We can continue if you would like. And so I need people to watch and understand. And see, I told y'all how the role that other media outlets play in this here. Like, you take Mediaite. That's amazing. I can see Megyn Kelly can talk about burping, and Mediaite will run a story, but you notice they won't write up anything about this segment when we're fact-checking Fox News. I wonder why. I told y'all of a black host of the network who called me and said that would have been great to have me on the show, but her white producers didn't like my book title. Yeah, seriously. They're afraid of this title, even though I discussed those same media people in the book. Why am I laying this all out? Because I need all of y'all to understand what 2024 is all about. What you are witnessing, Ron DeSantis in Florida, Greg Abbott in Texas, that nutcase Kerry Lake and the people in Arizona, and then, of course, in South Carolina, and Tennessee, and North Carolina, and Memphis, and Mississippi, and Alabama, and we could go on and on and on. They know the only way they can win in 2024, how they can win the White House, how they can win the Senate, how they can keep control of the House, how they can win governor's mansions and state legislatures, they need to stoke white fear. Y'all, CRT, DEI, that is all about white fear. Moms for Liberty, who had the audacity to use a Maya Angelou quote on Mother's Day when they are literally trying to get rid of books written by Maya Angelou. I keep telling y'all we're connecting the dots here. And Mustafa, Randy, and Toron, black people had better not be asleep and get caught up in silliness and not realize what is at stake. These people do not want to see any initiatives that speak to the advancement of black people because they see what is going on. They see there are fewer white births. They see what's the white death rate is higher in about 12 to 15 states than the white birth rate. This whole great replacement theory, we see what they're doing is before our eyes. And if we sit at home and do not vote, these are the people who are going to be in power. Randy, you're first.
They absolutely want us to stay asleep, just like you just said. That's why they have the anti-woke moment. They do not want us to be aware and be intelligent about what is happening in this country. It was interesting to me how they showed the stats of the what's happening at the border, but they did not show the stats of crimes that are committed based in white violence and white supremacy.
Nope.
And those numbers have I found that very interesting. Those numbers have skyrocketed. And if you do the research, you will find that oftentimes what they do doesn't end up in deaths, but the violence is absolutely there, right? So that's one thing, how they avoided that altogether. If people were aware of what was happening, they would be angry and they would vote differently. And we would, as we have in the past, shown up at the polls. So this does, like you mentioned, go right along with what DeSantis is doing. They want us to be quiet. They want us to be not knowledgeable about what's happening in this world. White supremacy is what is unquestionably the biggest threat to this country. And they don't want us to be aware of it. I mean, these are people who won't even, they want to act like Africans being enslaved never really happened, and it wasn't that bad, and it was a really, really long time ago. And they don't want to talk about systemic racism because we all then would be outraged. So they try to silence us any way they possibly can.
Toron, I got a kick out of them talking about, oh my God, look at all these terrorists who are crossing the border. Go to my iPad. This is January 6th, folks. 500 guilty pleas, 900 arrests, more than 3,000 people could be charged. That's a hell of a lot more, folks. And guess what? Not many of those people look like me and you, Toron.
Well, you know, even deeper than a political message of what's going on, what you're seeing right now is the power of messaging.
Yep.
Fox News is not playing to the informed voter. Fox News is playing to its base. And they just came off of this serious case with Dominion and Tucker Carlson that happened and everything. So what they're trying to do is ramp up this white supremacist rhetoric, but they're couching it in language where they don't have to necessarily say the N-word, but all you have to do is say, look at all these people who are coming across the border. Look at these black people who don't really have any issues. Somebody's ginning them up to have a conversation to get them outraged. And it's funny you mentioned the situation with Howard, because there is a historic thing that happens with a lot of white supremacists where they think that black people aren't intelligent enough to form their own opinions, that there has to be some invisible white hand directing black people, which is why so much hostility gets formed towards white people who may be allies to black people who are trying to push back against white supremacy. The other thing is this: Trump was what I would like to call, ignorant evil. The people who you mentioned, like Kerry Lake, DeSantis, and other people in other states who are pushing towards moving things right wing, they are intelligent evil, meaning they know enough to be quiet and they know how to not to make enough waves to make people outraged enough with them enough to push back against them. That makes them more dangerous. And all this stuff is couched in racist language, is couched in racist rhetoric. And the danger is, and which I talk about a lot, is that I think there's an opportunity for the DNC to be forward thinking, to say that, look, President Biden had called out white supremacy. This is a messaging that we can seize on so we can say that these are things that need to be fought against and this is what we stand for. So I think it's very dangerous if people don't get behind this and say that we are pushing back against this and we're not going to let people control the narrative. And right now I don't see that. It's very dangerous.
But see, Mustafa, again, I need people to understand Fox News is the tip of the spear. They are the leader. And so when Biden gives his speech on Saturday, and again, this ain't the first time Biden has given a speech discussing white supremacy. I laid it out yesterday. He did it in Iowa in 2019 in a town that's 87% white, 8.5% black. Trust me, wasn't that many of us at that damn speech, okay? He did it again in his first speech, the joint session of Congress in 2021. Did it again in the State of the Union speech this year. Did it again at a summit that was held in the White House with a lot of white people in the audience. So when Harris Faulkner yesterday was like, Biden has never, I bet he wouldn't say this in front of white people. He has. What they don't like is, and this is no different, this is why Senator Tommy Tuberville is out of Alabama is like, well, I see these white nationalists as Americans. He won't even condemn. They're calling and they're attacking the Secretary of Defense, Lloyd Austin, first African American. Oh, all this woke because they're trying to get rid of extremism in the military. And Congressman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has talked about white supremacy in law enforcement. Press play.
It's found that despite efforts, it doesn't look like things have improved. And I would like to submit both of these documents to the record.
Without objection.
Police officers have been dismissed across the United States, including Virginia, Texas, Florida, Michigan, Nebraska, and Louisiana for having ties to the Ku Klux Klan. And we also know that more than 30 active or retired police officers joined the January 6th attack on the Capitol, and at least 7 are facing charges connected to that day. Director Langen, I take it you are familiar with this 2006 bulletin, correct?
I may have to review that bulletin, ma'am, to recall it exactly.
No worries. To your knowledge, what do we know about the radicalization efforts among certain officers already in police departments and the effort to recruit white nationalists joining police departments across the United States?
Yes, ma'am. Well, as I mentioned before, individuals that are in positions of trust and have radicalized ideas and gravitate towards hate and violence are very
Go to my
concerning.
iPad. This is from a Reuters investigation, May 6, 2022, where they lay out U.S. police trainers with far-right ties are teaching hundreds of cops. What we're seeing here, Mustafa, is that these radical extremists, these white nationalists, these white supremacists are invading military, law enforcement. This is real. The data is there. And that's why that's why the Department of Defense wants them out. And guess what, Mustafa? When the bill was put forth to actually investigate and root out neo-Nazis and the white supremacists in our military and law enforcement, nearly every Republican in the House voted against it. That is why Fox News is pissed off at the Biden speech at Howard. Final comment.
Yeah, I mean, all you have to do is go back. So let's go back. 2017, 2018, over the Department of Homeland Security. You know, they actually had 3 reports that came out at that time through the threat assessment. And all of those came back and they said that white supremacy is the national #1 threat to the nation. And we know that white supremacy thrives off of both policies and laws. And that's the reason you see DeSantis, you see the governor of Texas, you see all these folks trying to change the laws and trying to change the policies so that they can then continue to erode people's rights. And that's why we have to stay woke, and that's why we have to continue to put a spotlight on this, and we've got to continue to fight.
And again, just for everybody, especially for the not bright yahoos over at Fox News, just so we understand here, go to my iPad. This is called a fact check. Every single House Republican voted against investigating neo-Nazis in the military. You will not see that discussed by Fox and Friends, by you, Will Cain, Rachel Campos Duffy, Peter Hegseth, or the really unfunny Greg Gutfeld. Why? Because you will not discuss something when it's actually your audience. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. When we come back, we'll talk with the head of the Democratic Party in Florida, Ron DeSantis. He is at ground zero of leading this attack, and what he's doing in Florida, he wants to do for the country. Back in a moment.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it.
This is about covering us.
Invest in black-owned media.
Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks.
We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
Next, right here on The Frequency, the woman they call the Gifted Eye, hip-hop celebrity photographer Coy Soldier. She's the master storyteller that captured the history of hip-hop through the lens of her camera.
Tupac comes out, the next thing you know, you didn't know who they were at first. You just seen all these dudes just come rushing the stage. Then you realize Biggie gets a bottle of champagne, he pops it open, sprays it on the crowd, he drinks the bottle.
Coy Soldier, the hip-hop celebrity photographer, joining me right here on the next episode of The Frequency on the Black Star Network.
Hey everybody, it's your man Fred Hammond.
Hi, my name is Brescia Webb, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered. And, well, I like a nice filter usually, but we can be unfiltered.
All right, so all the stuff that you saw me just lay out that Fox News cannot stand being talked about, we're seeing happen in real time in Florida. Okay, we're seeing happen in real time in Florida. It's happening right now, folks. And Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, he is the one who is really leading that effort. He just signed into law a bill that makes it clear no money can be spent on diversity, equity, inclusion in Florida. It changes how race is being taught in the Florida classrooms. You see the anti-gay bills. You see all the different things that are happening there. And so he wants to, and he's doing all of this because he wants to create the blueprint to say, this is what we're doing in Florida and what I want to do around the rest of the country. That's one of the reasons why he's now barnstorming. In fact, he is so shameless, and the Republicans are there, they actually even passed a bill shielding his travel records so the people in Florida who are paying for it won't see where he's traveling. Nikki Fried, she heads the Florida Democratic Party and is the one who is there to counter him and fight him there. And Nikki, glad to have you in studio here in D.C. Okay, so first of all, before we went on, you said today there was an event at the White House and President Biden talked about?
Yep, white nationalism. I mean, we were there today, it's Jewish Heritage Month, and so there was a big reception at the White House today, and it came up, it was part of his speech about how we all have to stick together and combat hatred. Because if you're going after, you know, those that are black in our United States, or immigrants and Jews, he's coming after all of us.
So for Harris Faulkner at Fox News, who said Biden doesn't bring these things up in front of white people.
Well, there was no one, we were all white in the room.
Like literally, that was the whole deal. Oh, you know, he won't say these things in front of white people. And I'm kind of like, he kind of has. But again, it shows you, again, what the strategy is. And I keep trying to tell everybody, Trump's whole deal was to stoke white fear. That's what, and you saw an increase in those folks, how rabid they've gotten, and that's their blueprint. That's what DeSantis is doing. That's what Abbott is doing, and they now realize, oh, there no longer is a penalty. So we can now just say all kind of crazy stuff and do crazy stuff because there's an appetite now for the audience, and conservative media is going to give us cover.
That's correct. And not only conservative media is giving them cover, the courts are now giving them cover. So as we're sitting here, and know this too, that this legislative session, he got an extra $16 million for legal defense bills. And the Republicans are saying, well, Democrats, stop suing us. I was like, well, stop stepping on my constitutional rights. But that's what's happening, is that now he's stacked the courts, and all these states have stacked the courts. So even if we are finding there are unconstitutionality issues here, who's coming to our aid? Back to the basics of voting. That is the only way that we're going to get back democracy here.
And the thing here is that, because I'm always talking about how you connect the dots. Again, supermajority in Florida. So Republicans, they don't have to listen to Democrats. The same thing in a number of these southern states. And so there's so many Democrats who keep being fixated on national elections, not realizing there's tremendous amount of the power in the states, and in many ways, they've said, okay, y'all can do whatever y'all want in D.C. We're gonna unleash our power. Florida, Georgia, Mississippi, Alabama, North Carolina. Now with one Democrat flipping, they now have a supermajority in North Carolina. I think they're voting as we speak to override the governor's abortion veto. South Carolina. And we could go on and on and on. In fact, the only reason South Carolina didn't pass that abortion bill because you actually had some Republican women who stood up and said, "Hey, this has gone too damn far." But we're seeing this. They are wielding their power.
Correct. They're wielding their power, and they're doing everything with their power to make sure they stay in power.
Yep.
So everything to suppress votes. I mean, look what happened last year. DeSantis arrested 20 individuals that were returning citizens right before the election.
Yep.
So what do you think happened? Everybody who was a returning citizen, who we've all worked so hard to get back onto the rolls, get back into society, all stayed home on the field.
It was a chilling effect.
Correct. Because
they were so pissed off with what Desmond and Sheena Mead and others did with the Florida Rights Restoration Coalition, and they are afraid those 1.4 million people are going to vote against them, which is why they then went back in and changed the rules by saying, oh, no, you got to pay all your fines and everything off before you can actually get your right to vote. And in those cases, charges all got tossed.
All of them. All of them got tossed. But they keep now going, and now they've got this power. So they're changing the voting laws. Now they're changing all this stuff with education. And so they're doing everything. And look at the gerrymandering of the districts. First time in history, DeSantis writes the maps and draws the congressional maps. And you know when he announced?
He literally blew off his own party. No, I'm going to do it.
I'm going to do it. And you know when he announced them? He announced and launched that on Martin Luther King Day. Why did he do that? To go after the Voting Rights Act. This has been their plan, trying to dismantle the minority access districts, took Al Lawson out of his seat, and now we're still in the courts. This is what they do. So now that they have power, they want to make sure they do everything in their power to keep it.
So I had a meeting yesterday, and we were talking about preparing for 2024. And the thing that I have said to Democrats, to progressives, to all the people who are trying to oppose what we're seeing, I said, folks, you can't be waiting for May of 2024. You can't be waiting for January. I said, there should be right now massive voter education. Explain to people, one, what the opposition is doing, two, what Democrats have accomplished, three, what they plan to accomplish, and laying the stakes out, what will happen. This is what America will look like, or what the state will look like if these folks continue to do more. We saw how they silenced the folks in Tennessee. They silenced the transgender elected official in Montana. They silenced the non-binary woman in Oklahoma. They're using their power to say, you can't even talk.
And you know what the crazy part is? They're doing it under the church. They're doing it all under religion. And that so many of the speeches that I've heard, God told me to do this. This is all about God. You know, I believe in a God that, you know, wants equality, justice, you know, making sure that you're respecting one another. But this is their game plan. It is to shut out everybody who is in opposition. That is not what democracy is about, and that's not how this country was built. This country was built on giving everybody an opportunity, and truthfully, that's not how it started. But that's how we are every single day trying to make this a more perfect union. And yes, we've got to be starting now, talking to everybody in our state, in our country, of what is happening on the ground and the impact of these elections. And you're right, local elections, state elections are much more impactful than what's happening in Congress.
So how are you trying to reach that disaffected voter, trying to reach that independent white voter, trying to reach that disaffected black voter, because Florida is a perfect example of how those things have disintegrated. What used to be a blue state then became a purple state, now very much is a red state, and so the people have simply said, I mean, they just totally checked out.
Yeah, I mean, it's going back onto the ground. I mean, that is something that you always have to do. That knocking on doors and being able to have that one-on-one conversation is really what is so essential here. And unfortunately, the Democratic Party in Florida didn't do that for the last couple of election cycles. And so now we're having to play catch-up, that all of the narrative, Ron DeSantis has taken all the oxygen out of the room in Florida. And so to have a conversation, I mean, I was out there, pounding the pavement for years. The first time that I called him a dictator was in March of 2020. Everybody thought I had lost my mind. Oh my God, she's called him a dictator. I said, you're right, I'm watching what is happening. And so we have to get back onto the ground, back onto door knocking, having those conversations, going to areas where we haven't been in many, many years, and to have those conversations about what exactly is happening to our state and to our country. And God forbid that Ron DeSantis becomes president of the United States. You and I are going to end up in jail somewhere because he's going to use the power of the police to do something to take away our rights.
And I don't think people say, oh, that's hyperbole. No, it is abundantly clear what their strategy is. Hold tight 1 second. We come back. We're going to bring our panel. They got their questions. They can ask Nikki as well. Again, folks, I'm telling y'all, understand they are executing their game plan. And if you think what is happening in Florida, in Texas, and Mississippi, in these places, they're just one-offs, then you must be in a coma. Folks, be sure to support us in what we do. Download the Black Star Network app, Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Xbox One, Samsung Smart TV. Of course, you can also support our Bring the Funk fan club. Your dollars make it possible for us to do what we do. Check-in money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037. That's 0196. Cash App, $RM Unfiltered. Of course, PayPal, R. Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. And of course, be sure to get a copy of my book, White Fear, How the Browning of America is Making White Folks Lose Their Minds. That cover image from January 6th, there's a reason why it is there. We'll be back in a moment.
Next on the Black Table with me, Greg Carr. We look at one of the most influential and prominent Black Americans of the 20th century. His work literally changed the world. Among other things, he played a major role in creating the United Nations. He was the first African American and first person of color to win the Nobel Peace Prize. And yet today, he is hardly a household name. We're talking, of course, about Ralph J. Bunche. A new book refers to him as the absolutely indispensable man.
His lifelong interest and passion in racial justice, specifically in the form of colonialism. And he saw his work as an activist and advocate for the Black community here in the United States as just the other side of the coin of his work trying to roll back European empire in Africa.
Author Cal Rostiala will join us to share his incredible story. That's on the next Black Table, here on the Black Star Network.
I'm Faraji Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture, weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
My name is Charlie Wilson.
Hi, I'm Sally Richardson Whitfield.
And I'm Dondre Whitfield. Hey, everybody, this is your man, Fred Hammond, and you're watching Roland Martin, my man, Unfiltered.
All right, folks, welcome back. Roland Martin Unfiltered. We're talking with Nikki Fried. She, of course, leads the Florida Democratic Party. Questions for our panel. Randy, you first.
I would just love to know, this is my failed DEI, and I would just love to know why you think that the focus, I have my suspicions why, that they always talk about DEI and they associate it with Black Americans. And it seems as if people are comfortable with us losing programs when it comes to Black Americans. And why is there not more just information out there that it affects everything? It affects women's rights, it affects gay rights, it affects, immigration, it affects, Jewish rights. And because it seems that way we could have much more of an impact and that people would, fight back against the things that DeSantis is doing.
And you're absolutely correct. And we do talk about that because you're right, that the DEI aspects of our college education and even just in the classrooms, it impacts everybody. As somebody of the Jewish faith, Jewish studies were on the chopping block too. Same thing with Asian studies. And we now have a second Black female student body president at the University of Florida. And I am scared to death for her that she's going to try to spend money on Pride Student Union, Black History Month, Jewish Awareness Month, name the organization, and the general counsel from the University of Florida is going to tell her, no, you can't do that. And so it's going to be incumbent upon us who are talking about these issues to make sure, as we've always done, building the wide coalitions, to make sure everything, it's like kind of that same poem that we all have been hearing for our entire lifetimes. First they came for the socialists, but I wasn't a socialist, and you keep going on and on. People need to realize that we're not just talking about Black America, we're talking about every marginalized community that doesn't have a seat at the table.
Thank you. I'm hoping to see more of that because I think that's how we will impact and have some power when it comes to upcoming elections.
Absolutely.
Mustafa.
Yeah. Well, Nikki, thank you for your work in Florida and beyond. They say Ron DeSantis is actually operating from a 1960s segregationist playbook. Do you feel that there's truth in that statement?
I do. And not just 1960s, playbook on that, but I'm going back to even 1960s in Cuba. I mean, he's doing everything possible to take people's rights, to separate out our country, to divide our state. And yes, every opportunity that he has to divide us on racial lines, he does so. And then he tries to hide behind, he brings, one or two Black families to the State of the Union address and say, look, I've got Black friends. This is a scary time in Florida and a scary time across the country to think that somebody like this could get anywhere close to the White House.
Toran.
Hello, Nikki. Thank you for your work in Florida. My question is, DeSantis and Florida Republicans are very good at crafting emotional messages to speak to the heart of their constituency. What are the Democrats doing to help Florida people who are Florida Democrats understand the urgency of voting and pushing back against these messages down in Florida?
We've got a kind of a mixed opportunity here. One, we've got to fight back about these issues. And if you saw any of our Democrats in the House and in the Senate this session pouring their emotional hearts out, each argument was so heart-filled. And to know that you were telling your personal stories, we have the first Black gay senator, and telling his story every single time, telling the women that were in the chambers, talking about their personal stories as we're going to a 6-week abortion ban in Florida. And there is that emotional conversation. But we also have to talk about what is also happening in Florida. We have the largest teacher shortage in the entire nation, a property crisis. People can't afford their insurance. People can't afford their mortgages. They can't afford their rent. They can't afford their housing. We've got students that are leaving our state because they don't want to be in any of our higher ed systems. And now the next catastrophe that's happening in our state is the immigration bill that he just signed last week, which we have 800,000 migrant workers in the state of Florida. That is under our 3 top economic incentives in our state: tourism, construction, and agriculture. So I can't wait. I'm talking about Black fear. You're talking about all the people of color have taken all of our jobs. Well, great, Florida. Now you're going to have about 800,000 jobs. Can't wait to see the lines of the Republicans coming to take those jobs. It's not going to happen. So part of the story that we have to be telling in Florida is, yes, to be combating all of the insanity and the culture wars, but then hitting them also in the pocketbooks, because the people of our state are hurting today financially.
Well, I think that's where, again, when you start talking about voters, and what I explain to people all the time is when you talk about Republicans, you have, obviously, you got the hardcore Donald Trump MAGA people. It does not matter. They don't believe, they believe nothing if it doesn't come out of his mouth. So you're dealing with that. But then you have those Republicans who are national security Republicans that vote for anything with the military. Then you have the law enforcement Republicans. Then you have the tax Republicans. Then you got the evangelicals and the culture warriors. I still fundamentally believe, and even when you look at these polling right now, people talk about, oh, how low Biden is polling. First of all, Biden's polling is low also because a lot of people are looking at his age. And the bottom line is, well, I keep telling people, you could get caught up in all of the silly stuff, but if they actually stop and look at the laws that are being passed, I mean, in my native Texas, they literally are trying to strip any early voting location off of college campuses, 8,000 or more. Texas A&M is a conservative university. Brazos County removed the early voting location from that campus. And I've been saying to all these white students, don't think voter suppression is about black people and Latino people. They coming after you too. And so I think that a lot of people, again, don't really understand that the dry run is happening in all of these states. What you're seeing, the bills being passed in Florida and Texas and other places, they absolutely want to nationalize.
Absolutely. And I don't know if you saw, but he just signed a piece of legislation this week that a doctor, a health insurance company, and a hospital can deny coverage if they do not personally agree with you, like have their own personal beliefs. So again, as somebody from the Jewish faith, if I went into a doctor's office and they were a white nationalist, they may not serve me. They may not actually give me health care. This is what's happening. This is real life. People are going to have prevented of getting now access to even health care. And this is their playbook. And this is why they're going after higher ed. Because what has higher education been doing for 100 years? Creating Democrats, educated Democrats.
Yeah, because once people actually start reading and get educated, they go, oh, you know what? They're idiots.
Correct.
And that's why they hate the college-educated folk. But the last point, though, this is also, though, where you have to have these, and I will say these white Democratic consultants who stop thinking that's the only voters to go after. Because part of the problem is they keep telling these candidates, ignore those folks with high school diplomas or who didn't finish. Let's only talk to the suburbs, only college educated. No, that's how you lose.
That's correct. And that's how I won in 2018 when as Commissioner of Agriculture, is that we knew we had to turn out the blue, but we went to the red counties. And we went to the red counties into rural areas and talked to those so that we lost by less in those areas. Right. It has to be a full equation that you have to...
Lose 65-35, 60-40, not 80-20.
Correct. And you got to talk to everybody. Because you don't know that you can't put people into boxes anymore, because some people are single issues. And right now, the Republican Party, and I confess this, my dad is a diehard Republican. The conversation when I took over as party chair, and oh, by the way, Dad, I got arrested for causing good trouble on abortion, that was an interesting conversation. But the Republican Party that I heard about growing up was about small government, less taxes, free market, home rule. That's not today.
Oh, that's all gone.
That's all gone. And so there are even those true conservative Republicans who understand this is not my party anymore. And we just as a Democrats need to make sure that our umbrella is large enough that we are capturing and those Republicans as well.
All right. Nikki, good luck. You got a tall task on your hands down there in Florida.
I do, but I feel energized, and I feel that we have the wind under us, that we're going to make some headway.
All right, keep causing good trouble.
Always.
All right, folks, we'll come back. We're going to have our marketplace segment where we're talking to a sister who owns a snack company, gluten-free. We'll tell you all about it next on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
On the next Get Wealthy, with me, Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, nurses are the backbone of the healthcare industry, and yet only 7% of them are Black. What's the reason for that low number? Well, a lack of opportunities and growth in their profession. Joining us on the next Get Wealthy is Needy Bartanilli. She's going to be sharing exactly what nurses need to do and what approach they need to take to take ownership of their success.
So the Black Nurse Collaborative really spawned from a place and a desire to create opportunities to uplift each other, those of us in the profession, to also look and reach back and create pipelines and opportunities for other nurses like us.
That's right here on Get Wealthy, only on Black Star Network.
I'm Faraji Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture, weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
Hey, I'm Cupid, the maker of the Cupid Shuffle and the Wham Dance.
What's going on? This is Tobias Trevelyan. And if you're ready, you are listening to and you are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
All right, folks, you know Snack Queen Randy has been waiting for this segment. I think she personally requested to be on today's show. My next guest, folks, created her own line of snacks. Now, you know we're now living in a world, and I don't even know where this all started from, because nobody growing up didn't know what the hell gluten was. We ate every damn thing. If you didn't eat, you just starved. But she's created a line here of gluten-free, allergy-friendly snacks. All right, and I know you might be saying, really? Yeah, oh yeah, African-American. And so it's called Fully Charged Allergy-Free Snacks. The tagline here says, you won't taste the difference, but your body will. All right, that's kind of interesting here. And so we're going to talk about what happened, how did she create this company. And so joining us now is A. Couture, the co-founder of Fully Charged Allergy-Friendly Snacks. Glad to have you on the show. So what do you call it? We call you A or Couture?
My first name is A, my last name is Couture.
Huh?
My first name is A, and my last name is Couture.
So your first name is A?
Yes, the first letter of the alphabet.
I bet you would. I bet in class, teachers like, what's your first name? A? They were like, no, I want to know what's your first name. You like, yes. It's A.
Yes.
All right, so what happened? What caused you to launch this line?
Thank you so much for having me, Mr. Roland. I launched this line in 2020 with my mother after I had a difficult pregnancy due to food allergies. She's a registered nurse, worked in the emergency room. I was pregnant, and I thought that I was eating healthy by eating soy and tofu and all those other things that they tell moms to eat, and staying away from pork and beef and things that they told us not to eat. And the entire time I was making myself sick because I had a wheat allergy, a dairy allergy, a corn allergy, and a soy allergy.
Damn! So, hold on. Damn! I mean, you had to like that. You had the quartet going on. All right. Yeah. So were you allergic to these things pre-pregnancy, or was it developed during pregnancy?
I actually used to have reactions and didn't know where they were coming from. I always thought that I grew up with eczema or psoriasis or cradle cap when I was little, but I had no idea that it was related to the foods that I was eating.
Oh, so you just thought you had itchy skin?
Yes.
Like, I ain't know what it is. And so, all right, so you're pregnant, and then you had this reaction, and so you go to the hospital, what? Then you get tested?
I go to the hospital and have an emergency C-section, and they still don't know what it is until they give my baby the milk. And when they gave the baby the milk and my daughter started having a reaction, we knew then that it was a food reaction.
Wow. Okay. And then all of a sudden you go, all right, I had all these different allergies. There's a whole bunch of stuff I can't eat. But clearly you want to be like Randy. You want to snack when watching that late night movie, right?
Yes, I was actually a mom on the go, and I was a single mom. I was going through a divorce, and so I didn't have time to do all of that baking and stuff that they see on YouTube and other channels. And so I told my mom, I was like, "What is something that I can have as a grab and go for me and the baby that I don't actually have to make myself?" And so she started sending me product, and then we were sitting at home during the pandemic. I was on furlough from my job. And so I said, why don't we test this? Why don't we see what other people think of it? And it kind of took off from there.
Right. So, okay. So we've got, trust me, Rand is like, why wasn't I in studio on today? Look at it. I see you. So we've got, let's see here, lemon and blueberry mini muffins. We got very berry mini muffins. Triple chocolate brownie bites, and then chocolate chip mini muffins. So these are the 4 that you have, right?
Yes, and we have cinnamon churro donut drops. So they should have.
That's right. That's right. All right, I see cinnamon churro right here. Okay, so I see these right here. All right, then. So you started the company when, and how have sales been going?
So we started the company in 2020. We were a food service private label manufacturing company, and we started to just blow up. We had a corporate client. Microsoft was our first client that took us on, and we started out with 1,500 bags from them. Then we ballooned up to 10,000 bags a month from them.
A month?
Yes.
Damn, there's some snack ass and Microsoft people.
So we saw a lot of traction in the corporate cafeteria space and in the corporate sales space. So we really stayed in private label wholesaling on the food service side. We just recently launched to the public. We run about 57,000 bags a month out of our studios in both Seattle and Los Angeles, California, where I'm based. And sales have been taking off. We're in our 3rd year. We're in a profit, so we're grateful to God for that. And so we're looking to just scale and grow from here and really start to create a brand presence under our name and not just in the private label food service sector.
Wow. All right, let's go to my panel. And so every time I have some damn snacks or some alcohol, or every time I have this segment on Tuesday, I'm guaranteed to get a damn text message from my daddy. He's just gonna send me a care package. I'm like, I ain't even through the segment yet, and he already texted. All right, Randy, go on with your question.
Well, congratulations on what is just a smart idea. I was wondering if you could expand a little bit about how allergies can show up in many of us. I know that I certainly have a few allergies, and same thing. I thought I had, just eczema or something, and it turned out that I have a slight dairy allergy. And so if you could just explain, because I think a lot of people don't realize that they actually have allergies instead of just eczema or asthma and things.
Yes, it's something that's prevalent in people of color. We never realized it due to the processed food that we eat. So typically we look at the processed food in our beef or in other items, but we never look at it in our pastries, our breads, our fruit drinks, our orange juice. Everything that we consume here in America has additives and extra ingredients to preserve the shelf life. And because people of color and the marginalized communities tend to consume those items more and less whole food straight from the earth, they have a tendency to be exposed to those allergies at an early age, particularly those who took on WIC or other forms of milk. We notice that children start to develop these allergies as early as 6 to 8 months. And then about the time it's gone into their system and it's sat there for another 20 years, we're wondering why we're suffering from mental illness, from depression, from anxiety. All of those have had direct correlation to food allergies. So you wonder why you may drink a glass of wine, have a bit of pasta, eat some bread, or you may eat seafood and you have a wonderful time while you're eating it. And then the next 2 or 3 days, you're experiencing all types of symptoms. Usually it isn't something that's related to what you naturally see. It's something that went inside of your body.
Thank you for that.
All right, so I know I'm gonna have to fight Randy over these packages here, because she is the snack queen. Say it again, Randy.
Yeah, I want the churro cinnamon.
Okay, I say that bad for you, because see, okay. I'm all about chocolate. Everything in my life is chocolate. My car is black. Everybody's black in my life. I don't even mess with vanilla ice cream. All right, let's go to Run with a question. Would you laugh at that, Mustafa? Run, go ahead.
First of all, sis, congratulations on your success in launching your business. And the packaging looks amazing, by the way. My question is, do you have any plans to expand into different markets or maybe to partner with a larger chain to get your product out?
Yes, and actually we wanted to be very strategic. So we felt like starting out, we didn't want to try to compete against people that were already being successful. There's 50 brands on Whole Foods shelves or in Target or in your local grocer. So we wanted to go where people needed us the most: movie theaters, attractions, on the airport and on planes. We want to be where the customer has to actually have no other choice of what they can eat when they have food allergies. So we're looking to expand. We're asking that you connect with us, promote us, talk about us when you go in those types of places so that we can get a footprint where customers really need us, and then they can take us home and add us to their pantry.
So Mustafa, it says our allergy-friendly promise: no gluten, no eggs, no dairy, no soy, no nuts, no wheat, no corn, no shellfish, no artificial sugars or sweeteners, no artificial flavors, colors, no preservatives, no GMO. Damn, was it the bag empty?
Everything comes from the earth, 10 ingredients.
Mustafa, go right ahead.
Yeah, well, first of all, I appreciate everything coming from the earth. That's incredibly important for our folks. And congratulations on the growth. You know, there are lots of entrepreneurs who watch this show. Can you talk about how you got that first deal with Microsoft? What were the steps that you put in place to make that happen?
Well, really, the biggest thing was that I was always about sales. I'm a diehard retail girl. My first job was in retail. So I was always raised with the notion and grew up working in an environment that you don't make money unless you get out there and sell. And so I started reaching out to people that I knew I had heard in articles or I had seen on television that said that they had different food allergies or they were observing some type of medically modified diet. And then I started stalking them. I did reach out to distributors and brokers as well, but I really wanted to make sure that I first sent them the product, no strings attached, just try it, tell me how you like it, the good, bad, and the ugly, and I would modify the product. So I would really encourage entrepreneurs, really know what it is that you're selling, know your numbers, know your cost of goods, really be focused on how you can develop a plan to get those sales in before you start creating too much product. And don't be afraid of what you believe in. If you know that your product is good and you can stand by everything that you claim, all you have to do is just keep asking, seeking, and knocking until a door opens up.
So is that last statement there and what's on this package here based upon your faith, where you said all things are possible for one who believes?
Yes, it absolutely was. Like I said, I was going through a divorce. I was furloughed off my job. I was a single mom. And I really did believe in this product. And I knew that it could sell. But I also know I'm deathly shy. And I have trouble socializing and getting out among people because I'm such an introvert. And so I knew that if I could do anything, I know good food and I know how to sell to people. And so I just kept trying to push past it. And honestly, Roland, you were Mr. Roland. You really was instrumental in that as well. I had a vision in my mind that I was one of the first product commercials that was going to be on your programming. And so, and I stand by that goal. And so I know you're not going to talk to me unless I'm moving real numbers and real products. And so it gave me something to work towards. So I wanted to make sure that we were bringing in at least $1 million in sales. I wanted to make sure that we were consistent in our customer service and our shipping and distribution, so that when you have Hostess, you have Frito-Lay, you have PepsiCo, you have fully charged snacks. And we're going to be bringing a line of commercials that can help you so that you don't have to even reach out to them to get your commercials, that you have minority-based businesses that are profitable and that can meet those advertising goals that you need. And we don't have to go to white-owned media, but we also don't have to go to white-owned consumer products as well. That African Americans like myself can take up all of those commercial segments that you have, and we can all keep it in the family.
Sustained. That's why. But this is. I mean, so what you just laid out is precisely why, one, the show was created, the network was created, but also why this segment was created. because the reality is, and this is what people don't understand. I keep telling a lot of people don't understand the business of the business. The reality is, when you're out here and you're trying to start something, I mean, you're trying to get some sort of attention. And I've had people come to me, I've had other people say, man, you should be charging people for these segments. And I said, no. I said, we're not going to do that. It's going to be a news segment. I said, now, if there are people who come on, if they give back, I said, if they advertise or they just give like our fan club, I said, that's wonderful. But the whole point is this segment is all about just giving people an opportunity. Like I'm wearing a pair of shoes from one of the companies that we had on the show. That's the whole point. How we use, because Dr. King said on April 3rd, 1968, when he spoke at Mason Temple. Everybody talks about the mountaintop part, but he said black people individually are poor, yet collectively we are wealthy. He said, and when we move as a collective, we can change this country and we change this world. So that's what this is about, using this show, using the platform to give folks like you a platform. And we've had other people who've come on and they said that they've sold hundreds of thousands of dollars, sales have increased. I was doing Angela Yee's show, and it was a black-owned body scrub company, and they ran at her. They were like, yo, after we did Roland's show, I mean, our sales went up. But that's the whole point. We can't talk about black economics and black self-empowerment and build black and buy black if folks don't actually do it. That's the whole point. And so I appreciate that. And look, we because you're right. Listen, it ain't easy out here trying to get these folks to advertise. And the opportunities for us are absolutely about creating our own and being able to showcase what we're able to do. So
And we want to be able to support you. You know, we don't want to leave you out there by yourself either. You know, I was really inspired as well by Mr. Belafonte and how he was able to support so many of the endeavors of Dr. King.
Yep.
And so I just believe that all of us who has a lane to work, I'm not necessarily an activist, I'm not in politics, I am a business owner. And so if I can be able to help the movement and help your cause in my way, that's all we want to be able to do.
All right. Awesome. All right, so here's the deal. I'm a chocolate lover.
Triple chocolate. Try the triple chocolate brownie bites first.
And let me tell you, I like light chocolate, dark chocolate. Some of y'all gonna get that later. All right, let's see here. Okay, this brownie bite. So it's more like a brownie versus like a cookie.
It's definitely a brownie. We're not cookies. Brownies are brownies, and the muffins are more like cupcakes. But
okay. See, now I need some chocolate milk.
Well, we're dairy free, so that is dairy free vegan chocolate. It's so those who have those allergies, it is completely 100% dairy free chocolate.
Well, I know Mustafa wants this because I think he's a plant-based brother, right? Mustafa, you totally plant-based, huh?
Yep, I'll be ordering some after the show is over.
And you know, and Run, he's skinny too, so I know he's plant-based. So,
I like meat, but I'm definitely gonna holler at some of those cookies for real.
No, seriously. Okay, now y'all know I do love me some chocolate. These are good. All right, so where can people get them? Where can they order?
Fullychargedsnacks.com, fullychargedsnacks.com. And please, we're going to be on Amazon at the end of the month. We're going to be in grocery stores rolling out in 42 cities at the end of the summer. So please, fullychargedsnacks.com, like, follow, share.
Carol, do we have a promo code or something? What do we have?
We don't have a promo code just yet, but we got you. We'll send it in for the next time.
All right, so here's the deal, y'all. So go to fullychargedsnacks.com, and A is going to let us know how many of these they sold in the next 48 hours. I would love to hear that. So please, y'all, support her. And y'all know I don't front, because if the thing wasn't good, I would say some other stuff. Y'all know you ain't gonna never see a food sip and go, that's good. I'm lying. That ain't gonna happen. So yeah, the brownie bite was good. Hey, thanks a lot. I appreciate it. Keep it up.
All right, take care.
All right, folks, that is it for us. We appreciate it. And Randy, let me go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and leave these on my desk in my office, put in my cabinet. So when you come in, since you decided to wear your new shimmy shirt today, yeah, go on now. Give me a full screen of Randy Henry. She decided, she wanted to show off her little shimmy shirt. She's like, yeah, I wore my new shirt today. I told her, I said, how you gonna come on my show wearing some damn pajamas? Well, I had to mess with her. I said, like, shimmy, shimmy, shimmy. Scott Bolden being the capper, he'd be happy to hear me say shimmy, shimmy, shimmy. All right, Randy, Run, Mustafa, I appreciate it. Thanks a bunch. Y'all enjoy it, and we appreciate everybody watching today's show. Don't forget, please support us in what we do, y'all. Again, there's nobody out here. There is nobody out here that's doing the kind of show that we're doing every single day. Nobody. There's no black-owned media platform that's doing what we're doing, and that's not hype. That's real. Okay, Blavity ain't doing it. Byron Allen ain't doing it. Essence is not doing it. Black Enterprise is not doing it. Urban One, Radio One is not doing it. None of these Group Black not doing it. None of these folks are doing what we do. Hell, Revolt not doing what we do every single day with this show. And the kind of guests that we have, the topics that we cover, and of course, the segments that we have, whether it's Marketplace, Tech Talk, Education Matters, HBCU Connect, Fit, Live, Win. We're doing it all. Your support is critically important. Look, we got almost 1.1 million people subscribing to our YouTube channel. We really would love to have 1 million downloads of our OTT app. This is about us controlling our own voice, so be sure to download our app, Black Star Network, y'all. On all platforms, Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Xbox One, Samsung Smart TV. You can now watch us on Amazon News. If you go to Amazon Fire, click Amazon News. You can watch our 24-hour, 7-day-a-week live streaming channel. We're there as well on their FAST channel. And your dollars matter. I'm telling y'all, look, y'all, just understand, Roland Martin Unfiltered and the entire Black Star Network is $190,000 a month. No, I'm sorry. Actually, it's $223,000 a month. $190,000. Actually, I took off some other stuff, but it's $223,000 a month. That's everything. That's this studio. That's our travel. That's our insurance. That's staff. That's all of our technical stuff. You name it. And so your dollars make it possible. We're battling it out. Hopefully, we're going to be signing some major deals soon. But the bottom line is here. Your dollars have sustained us in a huge way. Our fan base has given more than $2 million in 4 years. They have been absolutely phenomenal. Our target goal is to have 20,000 of our fans regularly contribute, on average, $50 each in the course of a year. People have given less, people have given more. That's $4.19 a month, 13 cents a day. And so if we do that, it's $1 million, folks. That puts us where we need to be. In addition to the money that we get from YouTube, the money we get from advertising, it covers our costs and allows us to be able to do what we do. So please send your check and money orders, P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. Cash App, $RM Unfiltered. That is the only Cash App that we have. $RM Unfiltered, okay? Other people have been trying to take our name, but only use $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. It's paypal.me/R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Carol, make a note, tell Keenan I want a graphic created that has the QR code for all of our ways of giving beyond the checks. That way people just point their phone right to the screen and give right there on the show. And also be sure to get a copy of my book, because guess what? Proceeds from the book go right back into the company. And so buy my book, White Fear, How the Browning of America is Making White Folks Lose Their Minds. From Ben Bella Books. You can order from Bookshop, Amazon, Chapters, Barnes & Noble, IndieBound, Books A Million, Target, and Audible as well. Folks, that is it. I'll see you tomorrow. Be sure to go to YouTube, watch our clips, click that like button as well, because we generate revenue from that platform as well. Thanks a bunch. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Holla! Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Hold no punches!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
Pull up a chair. Take your seat. The Black Tape. with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
We're all impacted by the culture, whether we know it or not. From politics to music and entertainment, it's a huge part of our lives, and we're going to talk about it every day right here on The Culture with me, Faraji Muhammad, only on the Black Star Network.
I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show, Get Wealthy, focuses on the things that your financial advisor and bank isn't telling you, but you absolutely need to know. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.